is Robert, and this is my October hobby update video. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be doing monthly update videos. It's just this is October, doing an update, and thought some people might be interested. So to start off, I have been really getting more and more interested in Epic. I still haven't really found anyone to play, but it's not just the game, but the scale that's really appealing to me. I really like playing Warpath at that level, and because of that, what I decided to do was to actually, instead of just having the random bunch of miniatures I have now, which you would see if you go look at my one of my Warpath battles in 6mm, is I wanted to actually have a couple of armies at the scale that can be used both in Warpath, in the various Epic iterations, and hopefully in some other sci-fi 6mm games that I haven't tried out yet, like Exodus Wars, Polyversal, so on. What I've done is I've traded away all of my squats because I don't think I was ever going to really paint them. And what I got in their place is a huge lot of orcs. I've got more infantry than I expected to get, actually. I got way more infantry than I thought I was getting, but that's okay. I had two separate trades going on and wasn't sure if I was going to get the infantry from both, but was trying to get as many as possible, because I figured I would be converting a lot of the vehicles. Now, looking at some of the vehicles that are for Epic and how I would either convert them or scratch build or make vehicles even for Vermin at 6mm or whatever else, whatever game that has orc marauder types, I realized that I may be kind of overshooting myself here and that I probably am not going to be as good as I thought I was going to be at making all of these different vehicles and gargants, but I'm going to try it anyway, and we'll see how it goes. And the really good thing is that for now, I do have enough to play Warpath as Marauders, and since I've already played a game using Corporation, I can use them again, or I can use those Corporation miniatures or Imperial Guard. I think they're actually, I bought most of those miniatures from the Exodus Wars range, but there's other various ones for my second army in place, and I can probably proxy those as Corporation very easily. Forge Fathers might be a bit of a push, but it should work. And since I'm intending on having a mutated or a Lost in the Damned component for playing Warpath, I should be able to use that remaining faction as a kind of vermin army. And what I'm doing is trying to find miniatures that I can actually use as vermin miniatures at 6mm. Now, I've seen a few different companies, and there's none that I really feel I can go for. I've seen irregular.co.uk. I've seen, I think it's Microworld has some, and various other manufacturers, and they're good, but with Irregular, I actually haven't seen the miniatures because they don't post pictures on their website, so I'm not going to buy from them. Sorry. With Microworld, they looked good, but they didn't quite cover everything I needed, because obviously if it's going to be vermin, I need to have a lot of guns and other kind of gubbins, or they need to be easily convertible. And from what I remember of Microworld, there was a lot of shields in front of them, so I'll have to think about that still. So that's basically everything for Epic Scale / 6mm / Warpath for me at the moment. I don't really play Warpath at all at 28mm anymore. I am hoping to get in another battle report with the 6mm version, but honestly I don't know how long that will be. So yeah, I'm going to take a break and go into the next section of my hobby update.
It's time for a Wargamers picture round. Sound out the pictures in order to work out the Wargaming related answer. So for example, a picture of a nurse taking blood, and this picture of a cherub is blood and angel. Blood angels. Now it's time for something really exciting. It's your turn! Find out later in the video.
Okay, for this next segment, I figured I'd just put some miniatures on parade, so to speak. Now, I figure I'm going to show units from my Undead Knights army this time round, because I thought it might be interesting to explain why I've actually painted the army the way I have. So, overall, I have two types of units in the army. A ghost portion, and then, so an ethereal portion with an ethereal look, and then a physical portion. And the physical portion, for the most part, some kind of model that actually shows that it's not living or in the process of dying or whatever. So basically, to start off, I wanted to see how many units I could do in an ethereal style without it overwhelming the army. And by overwhelming, I actually mean making the army look really, really boring, because I found that when I had just ethereal units on the field and other miniatures that weren't ethereal, either grey, unpainted, or about to be ethereal, it just didn't look quite right. So I had to redo something. The reason for this is that ethereal units at their best are actually very simple. So if you look at the ethereal units I'm showing here, you can see that they're all just one color all over. But what I did was I started with a miniature that was sprayed with a base coat of grey. You can get that cheaply in a car shop, matte paint, if you can't get it from Games Workshop or anywhere else. Then I used black ink or a black wash, not Devlin mud, it has to be black, all over the model. And then I painted from about the top of the horse's leg down entirely black. With any slightly short horse or with other miniatures, you actually need to go a bit higher. And I then very lightly highlighted with a darkish grey around that area. Then I used that same darkish grey I just used to highlight the black to add increasing highlights as I went up until I was fully painting it on. So I went from dry brushing to not quite so dry brushing to basically having paint on the brush and just painting it like normal. Once I got up to that point, I started slightly below where... Okay, this is a bit confusing, but because I didn't actually think I would need to take pictures of this process. But anyway, I started slightly below where the grey completely took over with the next layer up in grey. So say we're at medium grey, we start slightly below where it's just pure grey, highlight there very lightly, and again do the same process with a little bit more and a little bit more as you go up. And what you'll see is as you go up, if this is done correctly, and you make sure that you stick primarily with dry brushing for this, that you'll actually have a gradated model going from practically black at the bottom, practically only black, to almost white at the top, making sure that you don't have a large white area at the top or it'll look very odd. You then mix up Thraka Green and Azerman Blue, which are ink washes from Games Workshop. You wash the whole model in it, and you'll probably have to keep on washing it until the coverage works. Yeah, so that's basically how I came up with the ethereal portion of this army. What I found, especially with ethereal models that are on flying bases or are on large bases, or both, is you really need to make the base decoration work. I felt that for this ethereal army, if I just had the plain green ground, it would look too it would look at odds with the theme of the army. I felt that if I was to do something sandy or snowy, it again wouldn't work. Maybe a really lush, sandy thing like a Tomb King's tomb might work. Snow would just make the models look weird with like a white bottom and a white top. So I went for a city theme. And then in the process of making my city theme, I accidentally made pretty much all of the bases look grey, and it didn't look good. So for some of them, I did cobblestones, which you can see in my cobblestone tutorial. For others, I just made up some basing material. I just said, okay, you know what? There was a market in town that day, and it got spoiled everywhere. All the citizens ran away from the market, and there's market spoils all over the ground. And you can see that in the larger bases, and that's what makes them not look terrible, to be honest, because before they were there, it was a very dull miniature. But with, barrels, wine bottles, fruit baskets, and all kinds of stands, it makes what I did look deliberate, I guess. And it kind of draws the eye away from the mistakes I've made, because I'm not a great painter, and it will get me to painting scores without me getting the very high ones when I go to a tournament. So that's my miniatures parade. So let's go for another break, and yeah.
It's time for a Wargamers picture round. This picture of a question mark, plus a character from Tekken, plus the Family Guy characters equals Howling Griffin. Howling Griffin. Did you get that? Never mind. There's always next time.
Okay, we're back. So I haven't actually said what I've been up to. So just to mention, I've been repinning a few old broken miniatures because I felt I have to put my money where my mouth is after that tutorial. And I have been painting a couple of characters for my undead army, and I'm at the moment working on a Gargant for my 6mm Orc Marauders. I haven't really played any battles over the past while. It's been hard to find time. And I don't know if people know, but this channel is a bit of an experiment for me, just to see what kinds of videos I can make. And throughout this, you've seen my little weird ad breaks, and hopefully this is something people find interesting. And if not, okay, please let me know. And I'm still deciding what the next video I make will be. I've got plans in the works for a few of them. Yeah, if there is something you want, just let me know. Requesting might not mean I'll have it out soon, but at least I'll prioritize it a bit. And I know a couple of people have already asked me for a Warpath battle report, so I am trying to figure out how I'm going to do that, because playing by email takes a long time, and I've only just gotten the miniatures, so we'll see how long that takes. The only other thing is I had a lot of fun putting together these weird wargaming related picture games. I don't know. I'm going to have to check what these things are called and maybe include it earlier in the video, which will make this bit sound weird, but whatever. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing them, and yeah, I'll see how that goes. So thank you for listening. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Mantic Moments, all one word. If you're a wargamer, I'd love to follow you back. If you want to subscribe to my channel, that would be really great. I've actually gotten a fair few subscribers from the pinning video, so I'm actually happy about that. That's about it. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know.